Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from everybody guy, Redonkulous guy here, and welcome back to the letters. So in the last episode, we started off with this arc, which started off with quite a bang. The fact that we got to know a little about Zach's dark past, which was pretty tragic and sad, and on top of that, Isabella freaking came back. Never expected her to come back like in this arc. And just as we had left her off in the arc or in the first chapter, that's where it continued. She came over here to our house, and she was very scared, so we did not try to talk about what happened with her and just spend the night without anything. And then in the morning we had quite a chat along with some food with Ash over here, as you can see. And by the end of the episode, Isabella went down, and now we are both alone up here to talk something serious, which we still don't know because I left you guys with quite a cliffhanger in the last episode. So let's see what was that cliffhanger right now over here. Let's go. The earlier amusement is gone from his face, replaced by what I can only describe as trepidation, because he's gonna talk about something serious, and let's see what that is. I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting shit to go down at some point soon.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Is that what this is all about?
Just be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple. I'd rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
We will get to know about that, because as far as Hannah's arc goes, we did not got to know anything about, why he's so afraid of them, being all shady and everything. Oh my god, they're so powerful, they're gonna kill me, something like that. Let's see. He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his action alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, but doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his head towards the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know what he's going to ask about. He's likely taken notice of it the moment he entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Oh, those spills, yeah.
Yeah. I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. The dreams, that is. I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory.
You don't have to tell me. She already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time when he reaches for the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Ermengarde mentioned H. Wright, 11 a.m. After Ashton's warning, they all hold a different meaning now. Whoa, next day? Wait a minute. Alright, this was what I wanted to check, is that we were having the dinner and everything, and the talk that was going on right now was on Tuesday. Then on the next day is when Zach goes to Hannah, right? And then you know what happens in the Hannah arc. And right now we are over here, so wow, let's see, because Hannah's arc never went through this day, so let's see how this one goes. Okay, so the next 2 days rushed by in a blur, altogether living a collective mess of work, suddenly piling up, and new unexpected acquaintances or friends. Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set by an over-eager art director. And also, this guy is in fact humming the menu song right now, which is creepy. I mean, the menu song is quite creepy, and he's humming that. Didn't thought I would notice that, huh? Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision, and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There is nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I have grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get some footing on the field, but it's kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client's list. Names like the Wrights in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. A party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture, other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with, it leaves me no time to ponder over whatever happened to Isabella or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, her art did not really made me think that, there is something up with them. Though, like, they are big and they can use their influence to, F people up. But, yeah, I guess if you mess around with them. But, yeah. Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal. But just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came out of it. And eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good points at all. But I guess that was just because of my choices, so well. Miss Wright Hannah herself though, she ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. The tabloids had it all wrong, that's for sure. For someone born with a silver spoon in her mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. And I was exactly expecting just as Zach was expecting of her. And she's actually not. She's pretty nice. And was my favorite character. Oh my god. Among other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her. But here we are. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a really nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might have even ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too, if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beep quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practiced motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack, and amble over my makeshift darkroom to get the last photos from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before going on its standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one tonight for the set Mrs. Wright requested, and the last one is gonna be, I don't usually make this a habit, giving away stuff that is. It's bad for the business no matter how well intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however, she did treat me well and was a pleasant companion all throughout the shoot. Even if she didn't ask, I would have probably given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Miss Bryant ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. Unfortunately, we'll never be able to give her that in my arc. And maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smiles, always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like this helps. A little reminder that the world can be kind too. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body is already screaming for some decent snooze. My hand fumbles for the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity while I fish for a squiggy among the mess of tools on a drawer with the other. Squiggy. The bulb flickers twice before its glow settles and casts a soft light in the tiny space when I glance back down, squiggy in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night.
What on earth?
Ooh! Her head is gone. Oh, that is creepy. Blurred and distorted, beyond recognition rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the same sweet smile the good woman carried in all the previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
A common mistake to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick a newly processed photo in the dark like I apparently did. It has happened before, loads of times actually. But I guess not in this way, where things particularly go black in very particular places. But I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reach up for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
A memory clicks, one cursory thought in the sea of many, and a short yet distinct second from the day before. Yeah, a glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. How we saw that? That was a shadow. Yeah, no, a woman. In her 20s or early 30s maybe. But with how far gone her flesh alone has become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. The skin itself has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Miss Wright's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me, but for Miss Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
Ooh, the memory alone is enough to make me retch. I brushed it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And well, blaming this on usual fatigue and an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part is far more convenient than to say that, hey, it was supernatural stuff, there was a ghost right behind her. Yeah, lot more convenient. It makes a whole lot of sense than what the small voice inside my head whispers. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul. The same one that lends a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I spend staring at this photo, the murmurs in my head only grows louder against my ears. Someone has to know. Wait, what? Can we really do this? Because in Hana arc, I absolutely don't remember this scenario where we show the photo to Hana. Let me save. Okay, so this one is a little tough, but I think I will show the photo to Hana. I also want to show it to Ash because it will do some good than showing it to Hana, who is gonna die in my arc or original set of choices. But I want to see, would that change anything? Maybe we will go to the mansion to deliver this to Hana, and yeah, let's see how crazy things will go if that would be the case. Like, if I go to the mansion after, Hana's arc ended up where she dies, that would be crazy. Let's see. I don't have an explanation for what I saw yesterday. Yeah. Oh, but you know what? Let's go. I mean, after this, there's party that we are gonna go into, but still, let's see how this will turn out to be. But when you have been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs at the back of your neck or leave you wanting to flee your heart, finding a more solid proof than a person's smudged off face on a photo is the least of my concerns. Ashton will undoubtedly give me flack for saying that or even considering Isabella's words and those silly tales about the place. The guy is a skeptic through and through. It will take more than my account for him to even give this a single thought. However, more than his opinion, it's Miss Wright I'm concerned about. Surely she must have felt something if those shows on TV are to be believed. A touch of coldness in her neck, or maybe the feeling of being watched. That's what often happens, ain't it? The outside, the sun has yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn. Good enough time to mull over how I will go about warning her. Plenty of space to check if I will get the same result if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives out a soft click and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
Yeah, wow, that's quite a thing to know that he is believing in it now. In hindsight, this is a dumb idea. That is to say, rushing to a client I barely knows home, first thing in the morning with news of a ghost lady potentially haunting their newly bought property. Oh, and there's a bunch of bizarre looking pictures of Miss Hana I've brought as proof too. And they would be back to normal. Let's hope that's not the case. So yeah, dumbest idea in the history of my dumb ideas, all things considered. Traveling to the outskirts of Anselm village at the crack of dawn with only my bike as company, equally so. Personally, I don't think any of them would take whatever I am going to say well, no matter how nice or accommodating they are. Ashton himself would tell me the same thing. Odds are, he will laugh at it in my face for good measure, if he doesn't freak out at me first for not listening to his warning. Still, that's a whole separate can of worms I will open at a different time, seeing as I'm already standing at the Wright's front porch, waiting for someone to answer the door. More than anything, Miss Wright needs to know there is possibly nothing safe in this world or place. Warnings from friends be damned.
If only someone would answer the door sooner. Come on.
I try to ignore the looming presence their large, ornate doors give off as I press the doorbell for the 4th time. Its shrill, ringing merely echoes, carried off by another warm, passing breeze. The first time I came to this place, I found myself basking in the silence it offers. Now the atmosphere is just heavy, packed with trepidation and tension. Isabella's right. It does radiate the creepy kind of vibe. And with the image from the day before constantly flashing in my mind, the unease becomes harder to ignore as each second drifts by. Not wanting to spend more time here than necessary, I ring the bell again. Another long second ticks by without anyone answering the door. If this fails, I can always go to Ash. Not really the most sensible course of action either, but waiting here ain't doing me any good. For all I know, the Wrights could be out of town. as luck would have it, just as I'm about to turn on my heel, a loud thump rises from the side. It's followed by heavy footfalls and a string of very colorful expletives about one's parentage.
We have that bloody annoying doorbell replaced yesterday. That Irish star just cost me a fortune and she can't even fix this nuisance. And where the hell is... Your Hans, if another po-faced prat is pressing that blighted bell, I swear I'll cut there.
Oh my... Maybe this was a bad idea. The door swings open and a very irate Mr. Bright greets me, his partly rumpled appearance a clear testament to how early the hour is.
And who might you be? I don't recall asking the movers to show up this early.
I was prepared to face Miss Wright, their butler more so, but not this guy. This guy. Oh my god. I mean, he's good in the originals, not original, sorry, in the good choices, but not in my run. But Mr. Wright, I don't quite know what to make of him yet. He surely knows how to make an impression, I will give him that. Albeit a rude one. It's not albeit, it's albeit. Wow, I was saying it wrong all this time. I only caught sight of him yesterday as he's directing the movers. Although from how exasperated he sounded then, it seems like more yelling was done than actual giving of directions. Needless to say, I'd like to believe those instances and all there is to the guy. Miss Wright at the end of the day did marry him. Standing before him like now, though, is a different story altogether. Despite the difference in our respective heights, he manages to make it appear like he is the one looking down at me, not the other way around. An apology instinctively forms in my mouth before anything else when he arcs an eyebrow at my lack of response.
Well, that's not exactly why I'm here, Mr. Wright, yeah?
Right, of course, the one and only. And what can I do for you this fine morning? Have I seen you somewhere before? Bloody you peasants all look the same to me.
Yeah, I'm actually...
It doesn't matter, I don't care. I've got someplace important to be at today. Just spit out what you want or be gone. I haven't got all day.
His eyes are sharp and expecting in spite of his indifferent tone. The very impression of someone whose sharp wits has served him well throughout life, the kind you have to carefully choose your words around. Disconcerting how a simple conversation can easily seem like a ruthless form of social maneuvering. I can see why Miss Wright would want to steer clear of it, if only for a short while. And sometimes the only way out of the game is to be honest. Oh my god, what am I gonna say right here? Is this choice gonna lead to me getting killed by this guy? Hopefully not. I mean, come on, this guy possibly can't kill us, even if he does for it. And if that comes true, if this guy kills me because of any of these two choices that I'm gonna choose, let's see. So I'm a friend of Hana, or I'm a photographer for luxury living. What should we say? I'm a friend of Hana. He will get extremely pissed off on that part only, I think. I'm a photographer for luxury living. I think I should say that. Let's go for this.
I'm with luxury living, sir.
He eyes the business card I hand him with a completely passive expression. He turns it between his fingers without really reading the letters printed before handing it back in the same blessed manner one usually reserves for people below their station. Or a nuisance. With him, it seems more of the latter than the former.
Mr. Steele.
Just Zach would do, sir.
I can see why. You should hear what they say about my name. Although I'm of the opinion those don't sound as unpleasant as yours to the ear. Amusing what people can come up with in their leisure time, no? Well then, to what reason do we owe this second visit, Zach?
Right, like I said earlier, I'm the photographer from Luxury Living. I'm here about the photo shoot yesterday and...
His eyes narrow at that, mouth tightening into a small frown, passive stance dissolving into a rigid one. It ain't a complete lie what I came here for, but it ain't the whole truth either.
Didn't you already wrap that one up? I believe my wife was the one with you then. Even mentioned a little tete-a-tete with the photographer.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
That was you, wasn't it?
Yes. Actually, sir, there was something I forgot to discuss with your...
And you had to show up at such an hour for something you forgot. Why wasn't there any notice about this little visit?
It was an error on my part, sir. I do apologize for not letting you know in advance.
Terribly unprofessional for someone going under the name of an esteemed publication like Luxury Living, if you ask me. Of course, even if there was a word of some sort, that butler does not check my emails as often as I would have liked. But straight up walking in here this early isn't the most sensible thing to do either.
The matter was a bit urgent, and my art director wanted it done as soon as possible before I hand him the finished prints.
Not my problem now, is it? A common courtesy would be to wait for replies before barging in. You do well to remember that. I once fired someone before they could even submit an application. Sent an email in the morning and suddenly sauntered in the office looking knackered mere hours after. Bloody walk-ins. That aside, unfortunately, you're going to have to come back some other day. You see, darling wife left not a moment ago. I have not an inkling where she went or when she'll be back, so you're better off.
Okay.
Love, is it the movers?
Wow. He was lying straight up. He stopped speaking altogether, and the complacent expression he has collapses on itself. Slowly he turns just as his wife walks up to him with a step too lively for comfort, a smile too sweet to be honest. Oh my god, it's so good to see her alive. She's very likely heard everything her husband and I have talked about.
Going off somewhere.
I've got the few things I want them to transfer already. Marianne made this splendid arrangement for the music room and... Love, are you listening?
I thought you already left, Buttercup.
She musters a frown, a pout more like. The mischievous gleam in her eyes when she glances at me says all there is I need to know. I would have laughed at her antics if it wouldn't offend the other man. But as it is, it's better to let his wife have her fun without any reaction from me. I'm treading on dangerous roads with him already.
Well, I most certainly have not left yet. I wouldn't be standing here if I did, would I?
But quite safe, considering I did not say I'm a friend of Hana.
Of course you wouldn't be, darling. But don't you need to be somewhere else today? Something with Marianne? Shopping, girl, things?
Oh, I'll be leaving in a few. Unless you want to join us.
Oh, no, thanks, darling. I'm afraid my liver is killing me today.
I thought as much. You needn't have to worry. I'll be gone in a few. It's just that I heard we have a visitor. What kind of person would I be if I didn't greet him before leaving?
A very gracious one, I'm sure.
Zachary, right? Zach? It's a pleasure to see you again.
Likewise, ma'am. I was actually looking for you.
Is that so? What for?
A huge display of unprofessionalism is what it's for.
Shush, darling. Let the man speak. I'm sure it isn't anything like that if he has to come all the way here, yes?
It's about yesterday. The photos you asked, I mean. The copies are ready, but...
My hand stills as I'm about to fish the prints out of my pocket. A short second passes that which strikes me how I didn't think this through at all. How I will go about telling her regarding these strange photos. Or revealing this to her in the presence of another person. Her husband gazing all over us like a hawk doesn't provide any sort of comfort either. And just like that, all the words I have been practicing to say on the way here inevitably falls stiffly off my mouth. Miss Bright must have noticed my hesitance because shortly she gives her husband's arm a gentle squeeze, a tender smile gracing her face. Unlike the first, this one is meant to appease.
Love, I think Hansi might need some of your input for the final guest list. Could you check on him, please?
Bollocks! Why in all Luxborn do I have to be there? Doing tedious jobs are what he's being paid for.
Because if we end up with people whose faces you do not want to show up in our housewarming party, we won't be hearing the end of it. Unless a heavy dose of liquor's involved. You know what the doctor said about that. Please do poor Hansi and your liver a favor,
He can handle that on his own, Buttercup. And my liver is doing just fine.
I'm sure it is. But I don't know, love. I think I caught a glimpse of the name Mitch Lakes, was it? I think it was Mitch Lakes on it when I checked with Hansi earlier. You should see for yourself. It was quite a list.
Who put that blighted twat in there?
And that's why I'm asking you to look over it before I do so tonight.
Very well.
But even with that promise, he doesn't appear ready to leave. Short of passing through their doors, he stops and glances back at me, all without bothering to hide the distrust in his eyes.
Luke, dear, I'll be fine. Go back to your butler. I'm not some pregnant wife you have to worry about.
Fine. I have to go to that little ankle biter's career day later anyway.
Actually, she is, though.
I don't see why I have to go there. Kylie's your goddaughter.
And yet, she has you around her little fingers, darling. That's basically the same thing.
If he ever has an answer to that, we don't get to hear it about the heavy thud the door makes, and Miss Wright's own very exhale after she's sure her husband is out of earshot. She's nothing but apologetic when she fixes her gaze back to me, and I can't help but return the same to her.
I am so sorry you had to deal with that. My husband can be a bit trying when he really applied himself.
It's fine, Miss Wright. No harm done. It was my fault for showing up here unannounced. And this might be strange coming from me, but he does have the right to be wary. The press can be quite vicious when it wants to be.
God, unexpectedly they will pick you apart. It is not surprising why he acted the way he did around me.
Sweetie, if Luke treats every journalist who shows up here like that, I'm afraid we'll end up with a harassment lawsuit hanging over our heads sometime in the future. Vicious or not, some sort of finesse has to be exercised when dealing with them. I'm sorry, I hope that wasn't too offensive.
Not at all, Miss Wright. Besides, I don't think an interior design magazine would be interested in who harassed who this week. Unless it has something to do with fighting over tastefully arranged furniture. But even then, I don't think our readers will be too interested.
Oh, dearie. You've got a lot to learn. You really have no idea how a single tattle can ignite a spark in a crowd. Of course, at the end of the day, it's still the thought that counts. It's still a lovely anniversary gift from my husband. No matter. Let's just go.
Okay, so she doesn't wait for an answer and immediately wanders over a car parked some distance from us. Unsure, I find myself trailing after her. Chauffeur?
Chauffeur.
I'm sorry, I'm definitely sure I pronounced it wrong. We'll Google it and tell you right here. Automatically opens the passenger door as she nears, and she gestures for me to follow when she climbs into the back seat.
Where are we going exactly?
I need to get out of this stuffy house for a while. Moving in, planning the party. It's starting to get suffocating in there. Luke and Hansi can have their fun while I'm gone. I don't care. I'm getting out because I can. Another minute in there and I'll drown.
My bike.
There are, of course, a lot of things questionable about our invitation. Why she's asking a person she has only known for less than 2 days in the first place is one. How appropriate this is being another. But the rest of it crashes the moment she shoots me an imploring look.
Please? I can have someone send it back to your address later. And it's just a trip to the city for some furniture, nothing more, I assure you. Marianne will be with us, and maybe you can tell me why you're here on the way.
Guess it wouldn't hurt. I might have to leave early, though.
Excellent, then. Hop in. That's what they often say, yes?
This can't be a good idea, but I really don't have any other choice, do I? Especially with the way her eyes light up when I agree to it. In my pocket, the very picture of her remains faceless, a voiceless shadow hanging threateningly between us unknown to her. If someone told me I had been spending my entire morning being dragged around half of downtown Lisbon looking for furniture, I probably would have simply smiled at them and say like, bye. Then perhaps even given them a good friendly pat on the shoulder and wish them a nice day. Not that I find anything wrong with this at all. And on the contrary, this is most definitely a nice change of pace after weeks of getting bogged down by several freelance gigs and shutting myself inside my apartment whenever I can. If only the weather would be a whole lot nicer, the kind with less sun and more clouds perhaps. With the mid-morning sun slowly beating down on us as high noon approaches, I can see why Mr. Wright skipped out on this trip. The bright side is, the whole thing seems to have put Miss Wright in a less somber mood. After the fifth store, her pace is considerably livelier, her gestures less guarded than the one she displayed at the mansion earlier. The presence of another person might have helped as well. So yeah, Marian and Zach are also gonna meet each other. Wonder if they would admit if I had not chosen this one. We'll see about that in my all endings guide. Yeah. Although Miss McCulloch seems less predisposed to small talk, preferring to keep to herself most of the time and let Miss Wright lead us wherever. She did acknowledge me with a small nod when we were introduced earlier, but that didn't make standing outside the store together any less awkward while we wait for our client to finish her inquiry inside.
So, interior design, huh?
She casts me a sidelong glance before returning to her notes again, her pen scratching faintly against the paper in quick, successive strokes. There goes that. I did say I'm not good at starting or keeping conversations going, didn't I? Just like me. She doesn't look back up again, and I take that as my cue to stop any attempt of striking a dialogue with her, and I keep myself occupied with some other thing. Except what we have here is just Luxembourg and its busy streets, people going about their day like normal, cars moving in and out of sight, heading to who knows where. Nothing remarkable really. The ease with which a person can fade into the background here is reflective of the kind of city Luxembourg will always be, but the humdrums, one thing I learned to live with. Needless to say, it doesn't usually stay that way. There are times when it would come alive, make itself known, and reassert itself back to the world. However, those moments are few and far in between. Then again, with what graces the news channels lately, I'm starting to think it's going to happen sooner. Can't say I'm looking forward to what it will bring.
Luxury living, is it?
Oh, her voice effectively cuts through my thoughts just as I count the 13th passerby wearing a hat today. Besides me, I can hear the faint rustling of paper and the clicking of her pen as she stashes them back to her bag.
Excuse me, what?
The magazine you're working for. It's Luxury Living, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. You've been featured by them before, I take it?
A few years back, yes. For just some issues. My designs still appear from time to time, though not as frequent as before.
Oh, sorry, I've skipped. It may not show in her face, but the pride is evident in her
Good
voice.
folks, the people running the publication. Tell me, is DK still on the editorial team?
I wouldn't know. I've only started taking jobs from them this year. Freelancer, you know.
Good man, that guy. Anyone in our field should meet him. He had a lot of things to say about art, all of them relevant. Learned a lot from him, actually, even if we both came from two different fields. I hope he's in a good place. I haven't talked to him in a while. Anyway, your portfolio must have been good if they gave you the job. They don't easily assign big features to freelancers like this.
I wouldn't say I am, but experienced, you know? The more you practice it, the more you learn the tricks of the trade. That kind of stuff.
I know what you mean. Still, you've got to keep up with the competition. Each year, a new talent emerges, and, well, you never know. Clients can be a bit fickle-minded with their choices. Believe me. Speaking of, Do you think you'd be up for a new client after this?
I think so. Depends on how big the project is.
She reaches into her bag again, this time to pull out a business card which she hands over to me.
When you're free, send your portfolio to Chris. He's my assistant. He's been looking for a decent photographer to help with updating the studio's portfolio. Nothing urgent, but the sooner the better.
Not sure if I'll have the time to squeeze this in. But, alright, I'll give it a go once.
Marianne, could you look this over for me?
At that very moment, Miss Wright emerges from the store. When I look back to Miss McCulloch, a mass of professionalism has returned to her. Or at least that is what it is trying to be. There is a different light in her eyes as she faces her, a flicker of familiarity and recognition. I'd say it's fondness, but that would be too presumptuous. Whatever it is doesn't last and is briskly swept under the firm tone her voice assumes.
Definitely. Is there a problem?
They said they don't have the colors you suggested. Do you think we can change it around for a bit? It might take a while if we insist what we want, and you know I'd rather not worry about this later.
I think it'd be better if I handle this one myself. Excuse me.
She walks into the shop without another word, leaving the two of us standing outside. As soon as she is out of earshot, however, Miss Wright lets out a giggle and swipes the business card cleanly off my hand. She smiles, a bemused little thing spreading across her face, and waves the card in front of me. I wish she will do that more often, the smiling thing. It suits her more than the other one she frequently shows to the media.
I look away, and the next thing I know, you're picking up women. On the streets, while the sun is high, no less. I'm not sure if I should be appalled or amazed. Whatever happened to the Zach I met a day ago? About as tall as you. Photographer. Quite the gentleman. To tell you the truth, I'm a bit disappointed he's gone.
It ain't like them, Miss Wright. And I'm sure Miss McCullough's not the kind of woman to let herself be picked up by strangers, let alone people she barely knows.
Oh, shush. Let me have my fun. And didn't I say you can call me Hannah?
She gives the card back to me, nevertheless, and with it, her mood fades into a more pensive one. An odd look settles on her face, yearning, a bit wistful as she looks back towards the shop's display window. There's nothing remotely interesting in it for me when I follow her line of sight though. A few trinkets here and there, a fur rug, a sofa, a wooden side table, and a lamp, all tastefully picked and arranged to resemble a typical antique living room. On second thought, it does look comfortable. And why they added a crib beside it baffles me. Unless, of course, the people they are hoping to market to are those who already have children or about to have one, then maybe it is fitting. Peculiar choice of decoration aside, it does make for a nice icebreaker if it's not on the same level of weird and completely out of the blue. It still leaks better than the awkward silence, which is definitely too out of character for her personality like Miss Hannah's. How should I start the conversation? Do you think a crib... Okay. Let's save. I think I should say... I think that one looks cute. Let's go for that.
Oh, I think that one looks cute.
Hannah balks to my surprise, shuffling 2 steps away from the window and glares at it with such vehemence as if it did something remotely scandalous. A funny sight when taken out of context, and I probably will be laughing really if I understand what warranted her such reaction from her.
I wasn't looking at the crib.
I wasn't really talking about the crib, Hannah.
Very good then. But it wasn't the crib, all right.
Alright, I get you. But that's not it. Honest. I was just saying the stuff that was on display there looks nice. Or at least as nice that it can be compared to the ones we visited earlier. But I'm sure your interior designer has something different in mind for your mansion, so don't mind me.
I was hoping that would be enough to cut the topic short. Instead, she sighs, leans on the wall closest to her, and runs her hands through a lock of her hair. There is a far-flung look in her eyes even as she fixes it on the concrete curb.
You need to stop looking at people like that, sweetie.
I'm afraid I don't quite catch your drift, ma'am.
I suppose you wouldn't be aware of it. Do you know you always carry this kind of phase? Like you're always staring at the world with this honest look. Like all there is to see is all the good in it.
Frankly, I don't see anything wrong if it's like that. I mean, there always has to be something in it. You know, a sprinkle of kindness here and there. Otherwise, we'd all be miserable.
For you, maybe. Some people have to fight through it just to see that. And kindness isn't always a great thing to have around. Sometimes too much of it can hurt.
It makes you wonder where this is coming from. How bad things have really gone for her to have this view. I do understand her sentiment, really I do. Still, when it's the last thing you can cling to when things have gone irreversibly bad, sometimes you simply don't get to make a choice.
Besides, the point is, it's impossible to lie when a person is looking at you like that. Or I could, but I'd feel like a horrible person afterwards. Did you hear that, Mr. Zack? You just made me feel like a horrible person. I sort of wish I had one like it. Just so people would stop lying to my face.
Or you can start by being honest with yourself. It shouldn't be quite hard. Friends don't lie to each other, don't they?
I guess so.
So what was the lie?
She draws in a breath, lays a soothing hand to her stomach
That it
and...
was really the crib I was looking at earlier, silly. You're right, Uncle Zack. It's cute, but the pattern's not to my taste. I'm pretty sure Marianne could do something about that, though. At the moment, what I should really be worried about is if I'm ever going to be a good mother to this child. Ned, I can't even tell the father he's going to be one in a few months' time. Probably doesn't even want anything to do with this whole pregnancy thing. What am I going to do, Zack? Because right now, I'm absolutely at a loss.
Oh.
Abhi.
Oh!
The realization strikes me like a ton of bricks suddenly bearing down on me. More than astonishment must have shown in my face because Hana lets out a chuckle, the slump on her shoulders disappear altogether underneath her mirth.
Don't look so surprised, dearie. Tied the knot 7 years ago, remember? Don't you think it's bound to happen?
She brandishes her hand in front of me, the unassuming silver band on her finger glinting against the late morning sunlight for a second. She eyes it lovingly, almost tenderly, despite the trace of sadness in her voice. For all I know, there is an entire story there, I'd ask, but that would be too inappropriate even for friends. It's not my place to meddle to begin with.
Or at least that's what they've been saying early on. My whole social circle would be saying it's a long time coming.
But the kid is something you want, right? Because if it ain't, then that's a whole other problem.
Of course. I wouldn't deny I've been hoping to have him or her for a long time now. But then, now that we're here, all of a sudden, there are a whole lot of other things to be worried about. Business, a new home, public image, my own husband, and I don't know. I didn't really have anyone for a role model. I practically grew up with nursemaids pampering me every step of the way. What if it happens to this baby as well? Oh, I can already see how this will end.
Huh. I guess it's not just my sister.
What?
You and my sister. I mean, you're both having jitters or something like that. That's what it's called, right? First baby jitters? Mind you, she was really convinced she'd do everything wrong then. He even called me in the middle of the night. Has to switch places the day she found out she's carrying a new member of the family. Never mind how utterly impossible her request is.
I'm quite sure I haven't done anything of that sort yet.
Oh, you don't know that? My brother-in-law has been telling me things 5 weeks into my sister's pregnancy. Since she's one cranky pregnant lady. Man, good thing I found a place for myself years before that bundle of joy arrived, huh?
It can't be that awful.
Who knows? I think we'd better leave it for Mr. Right to decide, yeah?
Provided he comes around. He just sounds so repulsed every time the idea is brought up.
Then maybe you should say it to his face. No mincing of words or beating around the bushes.
And if he says no?
You haven't even told him yet. Besides, that's his kid. Don't people usually say fatherhood changes men? I wouldn't call myself a living testament, of course, but there ought to be something that will hit him in that idea alone.
A wrecking ball would be nice.
Laughter escapes me before I can stop it, and for a moment, I thought I have done something wrong when she doesn't join in. He's still her husband, no matter what jests or complaints she hurls about him being behind the media's eyes or in the presence of people she trusts. But when she does, I chuckle, a small, hesitant sound at first. I find the rest of my unease slipping away.
Well, whatever it is, my point is, you've got no idea what will happen. In the same way, you don't know if you'll be a good mom. Trust me, my sister's been there. It's perfectly normal. If my opinion matters though.
Long second of indecision goes by. I can feel her eyes filled with nothing but curiosity, boring into me while she waits for the rest. It's just a simple sentiment, but one thing I think she needs to hear for all the doubt she unwittingly places on herself. I'm just not sure if it should come from me. I will be damned.
I think you'll be a great mother, Hannah.
If she has an answer to that, I don't get to hear it, nor does she get to say it. As soon as it's out of my mouth, the bell hanging over the antique store chimes, and out comes Miss McCulloch. For more than one reason, I have never been so relieved our talk got interrupted.
Everything's been taken care of for tomorrow, Mrs. Wright. We'll have everything you requested delivered early. I've left them instructions, but I may have to visit again right before your housewarming party to check for a few things. I hope that's acceptable to you?
More than Marianne. This is a little early to say, but you did marvelous work with the mansion. I can't wait to see all of it come together tomorrow.
I'm only doing my job, ma'am. Needless to say, it's always a pleasure to hear a client is satisfied with my work.
Nonsense! You have every reason to be proud. I know you've already established your name here, but I'll still make sure word gets out, of course. I think I've got a few friends who might be interested in decorating their homes. I'll see if I can introduce you to them tomorrow.
I really don't want to impose, Mrs. Wright. There's still a lot to be done, and I'd rather be keeping an eye on it myself.
You know well enough I'll still do it. You too, Monsieur le Photographe. You better be the one taking the pictures for the event tomorrow, or I'll be very upset.
I blink at her, confused. Last I checked, I have nothing scheduled on my plate tomorrow. A couple of fleeting thoughts did cross my mind, like working on personal projects, but with the expectant expression on Hannah's face alone, I wondered before how they got Isabella to sell them the mansion, with all the paperwork and the loops it has to go through. Well, now the how is already standing in front of me, and it's one giant ball of persuasion in human form. And if I have any doubts how she got around life, all of them have been dispelled at this instant. Hannah hasn't said anything yet, but I've already know what my answer will be.
What event?
Our housewarming party, dearie. I've already sent invites through your publisher. They should have informed you of it by now.
I may have probably missed it. I haven't gotten the chance to check my mailbox yet. Deadlines, real-life happenings, they can be pretty hectic. I'll try later, but they might have already assigned it to a different photographer if they haven't received my reply yet.
That's not a problem. Nothing a little call from me can't fix. I'll have them know I'm specifically requesting for your presence. It shouldn't be too hard. Just promise me you'll show up. I expect to see you both there. No excuses.
Good company, good music, good food. Of course I'll be there.
Lovely. I hope we have that settled then. I'd love to stay and chat, but unfortunately I have an appointment scheduled with the doctors after this. You two will have to excuse me.
Are you feeling fine, ma'am?
It's nothing big.
There is a short while in which her hands faintly touches her stomach when she says this. Her smile, as she does so, a tender thing in itself, she might never let it cross her mind, but motherhood would suit her. The kid is already loved even when he or she has yet to have a sense of the world. Candid moments like this, I wish I had brought a camera for.
Sorry we had to cut this short. I'd love to have lunch with you two, but, well, you two know how it goes.
It's quite fine, Mrs. Wright. I need to get going as well.
Is it somewhere far from here? I can have my driver drop you off on the way.
No, please. There's no need for that, Mrs. Wright. It's just within the city.
I see. What about you, Zach? We did leave your push bike at the mansion. Don't worry, I'll have someone bring it to your home later.
Nah, I live within the city too. A few blocks from here, in fact. I only visited earlier because...
Yeah, the photos. Damn, I've completely forgotten about them. My hand grazes the side of my pocket where I've kept them since this morning. And sure enough, they are still there, waiting for the whole world to see them.
Because? Zach, sweetie, you're zoning out.
Miss Hannah, earlier, at the mansion?
Hoo. Wow, this would be interesting. Okay, so considering, we are in a very good situation right now, happy talk and everything, I think we should just leave this and not show her, because I don't know, it can very well go like, hey, I showed the photos and they are back to normal, or maybe they are not, but yeah, I will choose to never mind, because it's a good situation, and maybe if it goes bad, yeah, I just don't want to get myself in trouble, so let's go for never minding. She should know. I really should tell her. Yet,
Zachary, what is it?
when I look at her, all I see is a woman who only wants the best for the family she's trying to build. I see those loving smiles on her face whenever she puts her hand over her belly, the fond tones in her voice every time she thinks about what will be in months' time. I bet she bought that mansion for the same reason, to fill its many rooms with the smiles and laughter of their children, to create memories from it unlike the lonely ones she had as a child. And I can't bring myself to shatter that little wish. What other proof do I have except for what might be taken as a couple of badly developed photos? What other proof do I have except for what might be taken as a couple of badly developed photos? No matter where you look at it, this is ridiculous. Maybe I am seeing things and I need to visit my doctor again as soon as possible. You are not seeing things.
About the photos you requested.
Oh, are they done?
No, actually, they're not done yet. I had to finish the ones for the magazine first. I really don't want to rush it.
Please don't tell me you came all the way to Anslim just to tell me that.
I made you a promise.
Oh, you poor thing. I won't hold it against you if you can't give it to me soon. I'm not rushing you, dear. Good art takes time, yes. I'm more concerned about the quality than how fast it gets delivered. With it, I'm sure I'll get my money's worth.
You really don't have to pay for it, Hannah.
Shush you. Don't sell yourself short. You keep doing that and other people will follow. I'll have my secretary send the first half to your account tonight. No buts.
Behind her, Miss McCulloch merely nods, mouthing at me to take it just as it is. She had no, of course, being the other person working for the Wrights. But even if I decline, I'm certain Hannah won't be giving me a choice. She will do it anyway.
I guess I'll just have to make sure I'll take good photos tomorrow at your party, yeah?
Fair enough. I'd love to discuss it with you, but I'll only get in the way. And I really need to leave now.
Have a good day, then.
You too, sweetie.
She smiles and waves and then she's gone, leaving me wondering if I've just wasted half of my day worrying for nothing. But the weight of the photos in my pocket is impossible to ignore. Maybe I should have done the foolish thing instead. Miss McCulloch departs shortly after Miss Wright has taken her leave, muttering something about getting a quick lunch before fetching Bruthiel from Chris. I don't know what or who a Bruthiel is. It must be important for her to be in this kind of hurry, and it's her cat that we saw in the Isabel arc. And well, she doesn't seem to be fond of small talks, something we can both agree on. That sounds good, or a walk around the city, maybe. But with the sun as high as it is now, nah. And after how things with Miss Hana went, I simply can't muster the appetite for anything at the moment. If I don't do anything with it now, I have this impression it will rear its ugly head again. And by then, things might be too late to fix. What other choice do I have? Ash, Rebecca? In all likelihood, all they will give me is a pat on the back and a Z-man, go get some sleep. You are at it again from Ash. I had talked to Isabella, but I haven't seen her around since she showed up at my apartment 2 days ago. Weird. There is one person though.
Damn, I should have thought of that first.
Ooh, this is that church! Haha! As it turns out, I do have another choice. I'm not a religious person. I won't identify myself as such. Or rather, I can't. Sure, my grandparents didn't have to force me to go weekly. I'd happily join them. In fact, most of my childhood Sundays have been spent attending service. It's simply that as you get older, the more experiences you get, forming your own beliefs on things becomes easier, for the lack of a better word. And at one point, it just stopped. That kind of thing. Nevertheless, I hold no disdain for it. Sometimes it does help. When things are really, really bad, when dreams won't stay where they should be, talking does a bit. It's also a good thing Father Norman's, well, he's not completely the pious man you would typically expect. My unlikely friendship only probably happened because he's the kind of guy who's cool with the young ones, as he so aptly puts. And he is. Surprisingly, it makes him easy to approach. Like that one time with Isabella. I don't think he believes in the ghost kind, but there he went. Maybe he has something to say about the photos as well. Let's see, because last time we heard about him in the Hana arc, he kinda had a breakdown, so let's see how will this chat go. It won't hurt since I've already gone ahead and went to Amsterdam. At daybreak on my bike. At the very least, I know I won't get shouted at by whomever answers the door.
Unless someone does that inside a church. I highly doubt it.
Despite its age, the Luxembourg Church is a thing of wonder in itself, with its highly vaulted ceilings and intricate stained glass windows. One of the many things the Ermengarde family donated to community in its early days. Or so I heard from Rebecca. She mentioned this once, although most of it flew over my head then. At this time of the day, the church is mostly empty, save for a few visitors and ushers shuffling about, some muttering their prayers under their breath. The scene of burning candles and incense permeate the air, giving the place a general feeling of reverence. Pretty welcoming, all in all. Even so, I keep the noise my threads make to a minimum. Disturbing the quiet feels like a sin alone. An usher points me to a pew in front of the altar when asked where Father Norman prays. He mentions something about the good priest not being in good health. Oh, ever since he did a favor for a friend to bless an old house. This is the first time in days he's left his room. No surprise there with the weird heat lately. Even Rebecca caught something. Nervous little chap, the kid. Nevertheless, he leads me close to the footing of the dais with a reminder not to stay too long before walking off. Seconds later, Father shifts and stands. He doesn't seem to have noticed me, and I have to give him a little tap on the shoulder. When he looks though, to say he's surprised is an understatement.
Stay away.
His voice comes out, a whisper, almost inaudible in the hush, a quiet restraint in deference to where we both are standing. But the tremor is there. Oh, you did not believe in the ghost. Oh, Isabella, you just gotta have to sometimes, like what did he say? Let's roll that.
He who goes down to the grave does not come up. He shall never return to his house, nor shall his place know him any more.
But what I saw...
May not be what you think it is. It depends entirely on what you mean by it. If you're talking about spirit beings, angels, demons, then yes.
And now let's zoom on his face. Oh boy, there is no ghost. Yeah. He focuses on me with wide bulging eyes. No, I remember now. He said, those who left this world never come back. So I'm pretty sure this is someone who has left the world as and. Yeah, let's see all about that now. He focuses with me with wild bulging eyes, copious amount of sweat appearing on his forehead despite the relative coolness of the place.
Father Norman?
Keep your distance.
Hey, it's me, Zach, remember?
Stay away, don't come near me.
It must be the fever talking or whatever he caught. It has to be. Who? I don't recall ever doing anything for him to drive me away like this. In all the years I have known him, he's been nothing but polite, nothing but accepting of people regardless of beliefs or status in life. For words akin to a threat to come out of him, it's simply beyond unimaginable.
Go back to where you came from. Leave.
Father, what did I do?
Leave now.
I extend a hand to his shoulder, meant to be reassuring. But he recoils, his ankle catching on the edge of the dais as he backs away. His shout when I attempt to reach out again echoes through the entire hall, catching the attention of the few people inside. We try to keep a level tone, but with this stranger's eyes strained on us, panic starts to weave its way into me.
Stay away, demon! Go back to the hell you came from!
Father, it's okay. I only came here for some pictures I thought looked odd. I figured you might know something.
From my pocket, I fish out the photos and try to hand it to him. Instead, he strikes my wrists away, almost like an accusation, and sends the photographs fluttering uselessly to the floor. Helpless, I can only watch as he curls into himself on the ground, a sad, blubbering mess whimpering to himself. He tips his head forward and begins rocking, his hands clapped over his ears.
That accursed spirit, so full of anger and pain. All those horrible things I've seen. I can't sleep, I can't eat everywhere I look. Go away, go away. Go away. You're not supposed to be here. This is a house of God. Be gone, demon.
Oh, she's powerful if he can enter here then.
Lord have mercy, God, our Lord, King of ages, all powerful and almighty. You who made everything and transform everything simply by your will.
A number of people have moved closer, mostly just to gawk. Thankfully, as if to save him from being an utter spectacle, two ushers come out and taking him away. One of them, the kid from earlier, shoots me an apologetic look. I can't even return it to him. Anxiety is a powerful thing, a firm little notion that clings, eats, and consumes you. I can still hear his prayers even as they drag him away.
May he keep at bay and vanquish every evil power, every poison or malice invoked against us by corrupt and envious people. Then under the protection of your authority may we sing in gratitude.
It rings, hums in me as I am left to pick up the pieces of this chaos. Back to square one we go. If there is a salvation in this, I hope we find it soon. Ho, ho, ho! That was crazy. Wow. He totally became a mess, like complete mess right there. And yeah, maybe it's like Annabelle. She is not like her, it's a demon that has possessed her with her memories and everything. But yeah, because I mean that kind of makes her point. The one who has left this world shall never return or never returns. Let's see all about that. I mean, yeah, all about that in the next episode. So this was a really interesting episode. Got a real like My god, I so wish Hana was alive. Like, realizing that, what happens next as she left, like, oh my god, damn it. And then this last interesting thing that we got to see about Father Norman being a total mess that we got to know about from Miss Hana's arc. Yeah. So with that, I am gonna end the episode right here. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please click that like button, subscribe for more awesome content, comment down below your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye. Shabakir.